When people can't find your face online, they don't stop thinking about you. They start making assumptions. Everyone's going to assume the polite explanation. That you're shy, that you're private, that you just don't care about social media, that you value your peace. And maybe that's true, but that's not what this video is about. Because beneath the polite explanation, there's another layer. One people don't say out loud. One they don't even fully admit to themselves. Today we're going into the assumptions people actually make when they can't find your face online. And some of them are going to be uncomfortable to hear. Welcome to Neuron, where hidden psychology becomes visible. 1. Suspicion. The darkest assumptions usually appear first when people have absolutely nothing to work with. And that's where we'll start. Most people leave a trail. Photos, tagged memories, a face attached to a name, small pieces of evidence that let others place them somewhere familiar. A category, a context, a story that makes sense. When those pieces are missing, people don't stay neutral. They start constructing. But here's what makes this particular assumption different from the others. If someone already stands out because of how they look, where they're from, their background, their culture, or simply because they read as different from the people around them, the absence of information doesn't calm people down. It accelerates them. People rarely say this out loud, but the logic runs like this. Ordinary people leave ordinary trails. So if someone who already seems unfamiliar also has no digital footprint, some people stop asking why they don't post and start asking what they're hiding. Not because they found something, because they found nothing. And this is where it gets genuinely uncomfortable. Because prejudice and imagination don't work separately. They work together. The less information available, the faster the brain reaches for the nearest ready-made explanation. And ready-made explanations for people who seem different are rarely generous. A missing photo starts to feel intentional. Every blank space starts feeling meaningful. That's what makes this the darkest assumption. The suspicion wasn't triggered by something they discovered. It was triggered by something they couldn't. But not every theory people create is that extreme. Sometimes the explanation they invent feels much closer to home. 2. Relationship theory. The second assumption has nothing to do with suspicion. It has to do with relationships, because people are fascinated by relationships. And when information is missing, that's often where their imagination goes first. If someone never posts photos of themselves, never posts photos with a partner, and keeps their personal life unusually private, some people start wondering if the privacy is actually their choice. The uncomfortable assumption becomes, maybe they're in a controlling relationship. Maybe posting photos creates arguments that nobody else sees. And the darker the imagination gets, the darker the story becomes. And this is where it gets interesting. The more attractive someone appears to be, the more believable this theory becomes. People start picturing restrictions, just things that aren't openly discussed. Not because they've seen evidence, but because unexplained privacy often looks different from the outside. Especially today, when sharing your life is considered normal. The absence of photos starts feeling less like a preference and more like a limitation. Some people even jump to conclusions about emotional manipulation, isolation, a relationship where one person quietly controls what the other person is allowed to show the world. After a while, people stop imagining control and start imagining an agreement, a mutual decision between two people. Keep the relationship private, protect it from outside interference. Of course, none of this requires proof. They only need a gap in information, and once that gap exists, they often fill it with the most dramatic explanation available. 3. Creep. The third assumption is more uncomfortable. You know who's getting married, who's changing jobs, who's traveling, who's succeeding, who's struggling. You know details about people's lives they willingly put online, but they know almost nothing about yours. And this is where it gets interesting. Most people don't mind being observed. What bothers them is being observed by someone they can't observe back. Because the moment information starts flowing in only one direction, the dynamic changes. The uncomfortable assumption becomes, you want access to everyone else's life while keeping yours completely off limits. Whether it's fair or not, some people interpret that as a double standard. The more they reveal, the less you reveal. The more visible they become, the less visible you become. And after a while, people stop seeing you as private. They start seeing you as someone standing behind the glass, watching everyone, while making sure nobody can watch you. Of course, there could be completely innocent reasons for staying private, but assumptions don't grow from certainty. They grow from imbalance, and the less people can see of you, the more aware they become of how much you can see of them. That's when privacy stops looking like privacy and starts looking like distance.